Hey, it's Max from Team Big Dog. Today we're going to be teaching you the second part of the tutorial on how to catch monster bull sharks. We're going to be doing the how to deploy and rig up your bait. Just made the drive up to Brizzy. We're fishing the Brisbane River tonight. If you haven't watched part 1 on how to catch the bait, I suggest you look at that first, as today's part 2, setting up the bait, getting it out there and getting yourself ready to catch your monster bull shark.
Mickey from Team Big Dog here. As you can see, we've just pulled up. We're at the port of Brisbane. And yeah, we're going to get underway and hopefully hook up some big sharks tonight. Here comes Maxie and we'll show you how to rig up.
Right, so you get to your spot. We're fishing the Brizzy River today. First thing you want to do, you've got your eel, you've got your rod, set your trace up. First thing you want to do is you want to get a rod holder in, nice and firm. It's always good to get a brick or a rock and just make sure that it's in nice and tight. There goes the brick. It's not too bad an idea, just give it a bit of a lean test to make sure it's nice and tight. Alright, we're fishing at Penn Senator 9029. Spooled, we've got 500 metres of 50-pound mono, and then 100 metres of 80-pound top shot. I like to have my rod on a little bit of a lean, so when the shark takes the bait, the line comes out easier than if it was to say be backwards and horizontal. So I like to slightly lean forward. Alright, the trace we're using tonight, starting at a 400-pound swivel, going down to 200-kilogram nylon coated trace. It's very important that your trace is coated, otherwise the sharks will detect the metal in your trace and therefore it may scare them off. I've just crimped it with copper pipe, cutting of copper pipe. Make sure you close that nice and tight with proper crimpers. Alright, so we have a 2-metre trace down to 12-0 double hook rig. So this one is fixed and this one is sliding. So that way we can have one on each side and I can determine I can have a bait this big or I can have a bait this big. Now you want to make sure that these hooks are nice and sharp. It's always a good idea to bring a file down. I've angle grinded these ones so they're nice and sharp. But if you bring a file down, some sandpaper, around 80 grit, and just make sure that they're really sharp. Sharks have tough skin, tough jaws, so you want your hooks as sharp as they can be because you don't want to miss hookups. Freshwater eel that you caught from the lake. Now this is a real specimen. As you can see, he's very big. He's probably nearly as big as my leg. So we're just going to cut a little bit off him, just down at the tail end, to get another bait out of him. So turn away if you're squeamish. Probably about here, I reckon. Alright, so that'll be another bait. That'll be a completely separate bait for a littler rod. Because we're going for monsters, I'm going to focus on the big rod tonight. Alright, so rigging an eel up. Got your 2 hooks sliding rig. You're going to have one on one side, and you're going to have one on the other, like that. Alright, so how you rig them? On the one side, you go towards the back. Now eels have quite tough skin, which is good for bait because it means they hold on. So he's going to come around and out. Now we slide the hook all the way back. You want your hook sitting nice and proud. The further out, the more gap you got from the bait to the hook, the better. Sharks are not shy when it comes to this. A lot of people might tell you that they are, but all the sharks I've caught have been on this rig. So right, now we just do the same, just about here on the other side. As you can see, they're quite tough skinned animals. Out the side, push it all the way through so it's sitting out like so. Alright, give yourself a bit of line. Okay, now the next part is vitally important. Zip ties. These hooks will move in the current, like so. If a shark comes along, takes it, and this hook's wobbly, you got less chance of hooking up. So what we do is we zip tie them so that they're nice and firm and they won't move. Don't be afraid with zip ties, put as many on as you need, just to make sure that them hooks sit nice and proud and they don't move around. So you really want to crank them on. It's not going to reach, it's too big. And all this does is it just makes these hooks a little bit more firm, see? It's not moving, it's sitting there nice and proud. Give yourself a little bit of slack to the back hook. I'm going to zip tie that on as well. Sharks aren't an animal that will just attack anything in the ocean. Believe it or not, they do care, and bait presentation is actually quite an important thing. Alright, so once we've done that, I'm just going to get my tin snips. It's always good to have a range of tools on you when you go shark fishing. I'll just trim these down. The less conspicuous this bait looks, the better. Okay, now, that's looking quite nice. The reason we have our baits facing the head of the bait is because sharks attack from behind. They're a predator fish. They will sneak up and they will attack from behind. So he's going to come up from behind, grab it, his big jaw's going to go around there, slide down, hook's right there, ready to get him. That's why you want your hook nice and firm. Okay, now this is nearly ready for the deployment. The last thing we need is a breakaway, which is in the form of a rock. This has 30-pound mono tied around it. Don't go any heavier than 30, because what we do is we tie this onto the hook, the back hook. The current here is quite strong, and if you just deployed this bait on its own, it would get washed away. You'd find in about 5 minutes it would be 100 meters down and along the beach. So this rock acts as a sinker. This bait will not move on the bottom of the floor because it's tied onto the rock. Okay, when a shark comes, it's going to take the bait. As soon as a shark's tooth touches this, that's going to snap right off. That rock's going to be left there, and you're going to have a clean hook up to your rod. Alright, so we're ready to deploy. Now, obviously fishing a big pen senator, you can't cast it. You're never going to get it out further enough anyway. So today I'm going to kayak it. If you've got a small aluminium boat, what else have we done? We've swam them, which I don't recommend, it's no fun. But if you've got a boat, an inflatable, a kayak, any really way to get it out there. Now, the place we're fishing at the moment, the drop off is about 30 meters out. Because we're already 20 meters down the beach, because it's really low tide, I'm only going to have to go out 30 meters until I find the drop off, but I'll go about 50-60 meters out. And I'll drop this, I'll come back, I'll set the drag, and then we wait for the monster to come in.
Guys, so Max has just rigged and deployed all the baits. This is the last one here, and I'm going to show you how to set the drag and get that nice and tight, so when that shark takes the bait, it's nice and ready to go. So you want to start here, pull the drag on just about half, just enough so when you pull it down, the line just goes in nice and easy. You want to keep reeling that nice and tight until you feel that rock, just like so. When you get it nice and tight like that, you want to set the ratchet on so you can hear it when it goes. Then you just want to loosen the drag just a little bit, so when that bull shark takes that bait, the line just flows out nice and freely. And that's about it, and we just sit back and just wait for that monster shark.